Have you ever had one of those days where just nothing was working right for you? You know, you woke up with a plan, you have a bunch of things you need to accomplish that day, things you want to do, and then something pops up that you didn't expect and you have to go address that thing. And then as soon as that's done, something else pops up and then something else. And that feeling, that pressure to get into that state that where you're just hectic and moving around, that comes on you. Well, I'm having one of those days today. So we're talking about what to do when everything is going wrong and your life is hectic. So let's talk about it. So first thing I want to say is forgive me if today's video is not as polished as some of the other ones. Not only am I doing this off the cuff, but I just got done dealing with a whole bunch of things, and so this may be the worst video I've ever done. But I think it's an important thing to think about because you know what? Life isn't perfect, and some days you just have some of those days. Even when you have everything planned and you are a high performer and you're doing everything you're planning out your days and you got your schedules, things come up, and so we're going to get into that today. So, what has happened today for me? Well, first of all, usually I am preparing my YouTube videos during the entire week. I'm working on them. And this week just seemed kind of very busy in and of itself. There was a couple times I had to work through my lunches, which is when I usually do my YouTube videos. And so I was kind of already behind in preparing for um, my recording this weekend. And then yesterday, when I usually am filing, just putting the finishing touches on what I want to be recording that next day. Uh, Instead, I had to use all of yesterday to try to prepare a video for you guys. And it just wasn't coming to me. It just, sometimes it flows. Sometimes you know exactly what you're going to speak on. And it's just doing the right research, getting the right quotes, maybe looking up, oh, who said such and such. But yesterday, it was like pulling teeth just trying to figure out what I wanted to share while I was recording in the studio today. And so that was number one. I went to bed feeling completely unprepared to come into the studio day and to record. But while I was laying in bed, I was still just kind of thinking about it. I was asking the Lord, I was praying, Lord, I want to do well in both my YouTube channels. I want to do something that is helpful to people. I'm asking you for the right message. Well, then I woke up today, had a little bit more peace about it. I kind of had some ideas. I was able to jump on my computer, write some quick notes. Definitely not as prepared as I would normally like to be, but I said, all right, well, I have to get used to kind of not being unprepared, but I need to be able to help people kind of off the cuff. If I want to grow uh, my ability to help people, I can't always be like, well, let me go prepare for a week and then I'll come back with the answer. So this is stretching me to be in it anyways. So, but let's do it. So, anyways, then there was a miscommunication between me and my wife about the plans that we had later today. We kind of talk about that because we're planning to do something with the family later today, and how we're going to arrange who's got the car, where we're at. That all kind of just already started to fluster me. I wanted to be out of the house and in the studio at a certain time, and I really got here like an hour late. Well, then I start setting up all my equipment in the studio here. I put my camera on, and first thing I noticed is that didn't have a battery in the camera, and thankfully I did have an extra battery in my bag. That worked out. But even just that initial thought of did I forget to have a battery, that pressure, that feeling flustered that happened. Then when I turned my camera on, the SD card was full, and I had to take it out and I had to put it in my computer and make sure that I had moved all of the files on there to my computer so then I could erase my SD card. My microphone on my camera was not working. Still don't know what that's about, but hoping that the audio turns out okay when I sync later on. So all of that's happening. Then I realized my iPad wasn't charged, and so I was trying to get my notes that I made this morning onto my iPad, but then I had to plug my iPad in long enough for it to just take a charge that I could turn on, that I could then take it out of the studio and sync it, and then come back in. Just thing after thing kept happening, and uh, I'm sitting down, and I was literally turned the camera on, sat down, and I was just like, man, I just do not feel ready for this. But here's what I have to do, and here's what we got to do when these things happen. First of all, you have to understand some days these things will happen. Even as a believer, I trust God in my day to day. I believe for Him to help me throughout my day. But even when you're believing and trusting God, sometimes life just happens. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way it did. And so I sat down, had the camera already turned on, got my mics in place, and I was ready, and I was just feeling flustered. So the first thing I had to do is I just had to take a step back, and I just had to take a deep breath. Sometimes more than anything, that's what you need to do, is just already feeling hectic, already feeling you don't have enough time. Sometimes taking the step back and just kind of taking a deep breath, recentering yourself, understanding, hey, some of the issues we had were my problem. I should have checked the SD card before I left the house. I should have better communicated to my wife what the plans were. So they were my fault. I'm not blaming anybody else. But you know what? That's okay. I made a mistake. But now what do I need to do about that? Take a deep breath. Just begin to think through, what do I have left to do? What do I need to do? Often when we start feeling that pressure, that things are already not going their way, we try to push through, but we push through unprepared. The Bible says that wisdom is the principal thing, and you should get wisdom at the beginning. And so sometimes what I do is I take that step back, and as a believer, I pray. As a believer, I say, Lord, this is not going the way I wanted it to, but help me with this. I still have things I need to get done today. I still have all of none of the things that I had planned are the things I want to remove. What do I need to do? And I just took a few deep breaths, right? And in doing those deep breaths, I had the idea, why not talk about this on the video today? Because I'm sure there's other people, you might be having that today. Or if you're not having it today, I can pretty much guarantee there's going to be some day that you're going to wake up with a plan. You're going to have everything. You're going to be like, man, you're going to go into that day believing that, man, I'm going to knock the ball out of the park today. I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And then the next thing you know, you're called into a meeting, and then this fire comes up that you have to put the fire out, and then this thing over here comes up, and then there's some office politics you have to deal with, and nothing goes your way. What do we do in a situation like that? Number one, step back and take a deep breath. Number two, understand that even if it's your fault, it's okay, right? So many times we put more emphasis on something than needs to be. Now, sometimes things are super critical. Sometimes if you don't get those things done, I mean, sometimes your job could be on the line. But in this case here, when I had to sit back and I had to think about, okay, worst case scenario, what really can happen here? I'm flustered and I feel pressured and I feel like I got to do this. Step back. Worst case scenario, what happens here? Well, worst case scenario is I I'm not able to record today. What does that mean? Number one, I technically have an opportunity to record tomorrow. I'm recording on a Saturday. If this doesn't work out today, in theory, I could come into the studio tomorrow to record. Now, that wasn't my plan, but I could do that. But let's say that's not even an option. Worst case scenario is I don't have a video for this week to post. Now, would that bother me? Yes, it would bother me. I've been doing very good since I think June of 2024. This is now March of 2025. I think I've consistently put out 40 plus videos every single week. That was my goal, is to be consistent, one video a week per channel. If I missed a week, would I be frustrated about it? Yes. Would it bother me? Yes. In the grand scheme of life, is it really that big of a deal? Probably not. There might be a few people who watch my videos every single week who might think, I wonder what happened to Chris. I wonder why he didn't get a video out. But do I really think that they're going to be like, you know what? He missed one video. I'm done. I'm unsubscribing from his channel. I'm going to go put bad comments on every single one of his videos. I'm going to tell all my friends never watch him again. No, it's not going to happen. And so sometimes when you're having a day like this, you just have to put the things in perspective. You just have to, after you take the step back, you need to say, okay, what does this really mean? And sometimes when you take the step back, you'll realize, hey, this wasn't ideal, but I really don't have to do this, this, and this today. I can just remove those from my plan. And if I remove those, technically I'm back on schedule. Or if I remove those and do this over here, I can get the primary things done that I needed to get done today, and we'll go on. And so often when you feel that pressure, when you feel behind, when you feel everything is not going as planned, a whole lot of the times, if you just take a moment and get perspective, in the grand scheme of things, you're going to realize this is not that big of a deal. You know, most of us have tomorrow and have the next day and have the next day. Now, if you have deadlines, you in your day, you should know what is the most important thing I need to do today. One of the things that I've learned in personal development and I've tried to exercise and do in my life is I think it's very important to have, if I could only accomplish one thing today, what would that be? And so much of the time, if you have that perspective and you already know the one thing, well then when everything else goes wrong around you, so much of the time in my experience, I still had the time to do that one thing. And even though nothing else went right in the rest of the day, because I finished the one thing, when I laid my head down, I could say, you know what, that was not my best day. Some of the things were in my control, some of the things were not in my control, but it is what it is, but I accomplished the one thing. Now, today, I had two things I really did want to accomplish. Number one, I wanted to be able to record at least 4 videos, 2 for each of my channels in the studio today. That was kind of my goal because I want to get ahead in my videos. But the second thing I want to do, and this was the most important to me, is I want to spend time with my family again. We have a plan. We're gonna go out. We're gonna have a little adventure today. It has become a priority for me to do that, and that's the one thing I wanted to do. And so when I sat back and I took perspective, I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I can't do 4 videos today, but you know what? I think I still have time to do 2, and 1 for each channel, and that would allow me to at least post and continue my being consistent in 1 week, a video a week. But even if that didn't happen, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. I can get over it. It's a lesson learned. I can fail forward. But today I still have the opportunity to spend that quality time with my family, and that's the most important. And so if that's the one thing I want to do and that's the one thing I can still do, then I can just take a deep breath and just say relax. And so I think that's also important. When you put the things in perspective, you can still do the same things. And then on top of that, sometimes you just have to get over it, and I am one of those people. I'm kind of a perfectionist. Uh, Let me put that another way. I endeavor to do everything in excellence, and I try to. When I have a plan, I want to commit to the plan. I want to do the plan. There's a reason I had planned to do certain things today, and so I want to be able to do that. Now, when you try to work in excellence and you try to do everything in excellence, there's always that line of getting over into perfectionism. There's always that line where if something doesn't go your way, it really bothers me. But in those cases, I just have to realize, you know what? Life's not perfect. I can plan as well as I can. I can be as disciplined as I need to be, and I'm still going to make mistakes. So I don't know if that helped you today. I sure hope it did, because I know that there will be times in your life that you have just one of those days. But if nothing else, it did help me. It helped to put the things that I've already known back into my remembrance, to think about, to actually put into practice. Not going to let this ruin the rest of my day. I've taken a step back. I've taken a deep breath. Can already feel less flustered. So I hope if you ever have a day like this, you can do the exact same thing and you can keep going on and you can go out and live that more intentional life.